we were talking about earlier, something about how you eat less and you feel better.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on in my bed?
Oh, you were thinking I should go back from that?
Well, that was something that we were really talking about before, like the whole thing about just standing up and the being and not how adults would be like, you kids, now go think about what you did, and the kids would be like, what did I do? I don't know what I did.
Yeah. So what I was saying, so now I can get back in talk mode. Don't forget to poof that. Right now we're recording.
Yeah, no,
and we're poofing. No, I'm speaking of the recording. I know you know we're recording and poofing. And we're not keeping that a secret. And it's not a bad thing. And it's just helping us relax and chill here. Because Dan's going back to work in a couple hours. And he's got to take Xavier back in like a little bit. And all that stuff. Sad face. Yeah, sad face, but happy face. Because I'm still the same thing everywhere I go all the time. But we're getting back into the talk thing. And I want to get into work. So, to say it with an open heart while being recorded is a little hard, so I just want to start talking about it until I forget that I'm being recorded and talking about it. And I'm going to take a big poof.
If I get it,
it's really sad because it's meaningful, and I want to say it with the same heart that I said it when I was saying it without being recorded, and that's the hard part. Is that when kids are around their parents, the parents are so sucked into their job and so sucked into what they're told to do.
They get stressed out.
Their work mind is on top of everything. So even though they care about their kid, I see you guys once a week, and this is me using my situation as an example for every other person. So maybe their example wasn't once every Sunday, and maybe their example was every day after work. But either way...
Less.
Yeah, or less, or they didn't see their kid, or they were stressed out, and they don't have kids. It's just, we're using this situation so that people can relate.
As an example.
They were kids once, too. And I saw that, I know how hard I worked and how stressed out I'd be from work, and I know I'd go and see my mom and dad when I was a kid, stressed out from work. And I realized that you were the one being yelled at for being emotional. You weren't really causing problems. You were sad because this person wasn't sharing, or you wanted something this. It wasn't like it was a normal kid thing, or you had a question or something like that. And because the adults are so angry about their stressed out work life that your little kid situation, which is all that's really big in the world, every moment is you as a kid taking something serious. Like, the adults think that their work life, that is really just, if you really understand what the work life is, you got your job and you did it for so long, you took it serious. And you lose the fact that you got that job and you could walk away from it and be totally jobless and free of that stress. So, knowing that me as an adult, I'd see Xavier every once a Sunday. And sometimes they'd have something come up and I wouldn't even see him then. Very rarely we got extra time, but still. That when he'd be outside crying, even though I cared, I'd be at my dad's house. And if my parents would be like, oh, if you yelled at them or if they got hurt and you yell at them, you can't just apologize after it. You can't tell them why. But I've always been the person that said, if I yell at you, I'm going to tell you why I yelled at you. I'm not going to be like, God damn it, go sit down! Because I said to! That's not the answer, and that's what you had otherwise. And that's what I had as a child. It wasn't, you can't ask why, because the answer was, I don't feel like explaining the reason, because the reason is, I don't fucking know, and I'm a stressed adult who can't handle their problems because I don't go through my own mind and see that I'm stressed out working for somebody. And I'm going to take it out on the little kid who had a little problem and said, he didn't or I want, Mom, what's this? Or what do we have for dinner? God damn it, I told you 10 minutes ago, go play! I'm just asking. I know! You're just on my nerves! What? Hasn't anyone been in the same exact situation that I just said? Yeah, and as you're a kid, all you do is like, do. Hey, Mom, what's for... I just said go play out! I'm sorry! And you're like, what did I do wrong? Fucking kids, fucking always on my nerves, because they're stressed out about their job, or the news they're watching, or their husband who got home from work and pawns their work stress off onto them, and they combine that with the daytime drama soaps they used to watch when I was a kid, and now all day long on any
now
phone.
it's even dumber keeping up with the Kardashians.
And you can look at everybody's drama all the time.
Oh, why?
And it becomes real for you because you see someone else doing it. And people don't get the fact that they're not even real to themselves.
I don't think people know that the mind reflects. Like, reflects what it
Truly.
sees. Truly.
Truly. So if you're like, I don't like violence, but I watch violence all the time, you gotta take it out.
You become what you see.
We all take the Hippocratic Oath as soon as we become born until we become non-hypocrites. Or hypocrites at that point.
Yeah.
But when you become a non-hypocrite, it's really hard to go through life playing along with the government game. Because it is just a scam. Like, every scam that they say, there's a government scam, they're trying to fraud you for the government. Well, isn't the government itself a scam? I would tell you that when I was born, I didn't need a piece of paper to say, here, you're alive in this beautiful world, take your first breath. God gave me a contract, and that's the contract that I began with, the breath that I took. Okay, perfect. Everyone can relate to that. Now, where does that get lost? Because this guy says, you can't sit there and do nothing. You gotta make something of yourself. Okay, then I will. And it'll be what I want to do. And as long as I take care of myself, don't harm the world too much. If I use the environment, I cover the environment. If I dig it up, I plant something. You know, you give and you take. If you balance yourself out, that's what we should teach from the beginning. Balancing out, giving and taking from the earth and the environment. Not growing up like, hey, have 2 burgers this time. Because you've been a good boy, you want a bunch of ice cream, that pries you with something that makes you crave for something that is taken from a place that you don't want to know where it's taken from. Let's go out for hot dogs and cones at the end of your baseball game as a little kid. You loved hot dogs and so much as a kid. Woo! And then you grow up and be like, what's a hot dog? Oh, why do we eat those? Don't think about it. And you've done it so long, you're like, I'm an animal anyway. And now, as an adult, going 3.5 years without eating any meat, like I can't even.
Sometimes it makes me sad when I see a 5-year-old. Chicken nuggets.
It pisses me off inside, but I love them so much, and I feel the pain of every animal that gets slaughtered, and I hate it. But at the same time, I ate it, so I'm not mad at them for it. So I tell Mom and Dad, like, here's a weird thing that Xavier was feeling that I was been feeling for a long time. Like, I'm around, and like maybe not word for word. So I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. You do have your own feeling, of course, you know. But I was like, I try to relate to them some that maybe you can't put it into words.
You and I are on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
95% of the time.
Yeah. I can breathe my way into people's wavelengths.
Yeah.
And breathe them into mine if they follow. Like just by us locking elbows and Mom saying take a deep breath and us all doing it put us on a wavelength.
Papa even took the deep breath.
Yeah, and we all felt the, and it just went from that point where all 4 of us felt like, oh, that's cool, we're recording right now. We did that. I went to say it earlier, and we locked elbows and took a deep breath together, and we heard wood instruments, and fucking Mom heard wood instruments, Papa heard chimes, and
all of us heard the drums.
And we all heard drums, and I was like, that's our tribalness, that's our background, our heritage, and like, I always feel that. Like when I truly breathe, and I breathe, and I breathe, and I become one with the universe, I hear the primordial sounds of earth, of everything. And I've been there, and I'm not joking. And like, if people just take a moment, enough of a moment to do it, enough. They'll be like, wow, that's intense. Well, I saw it in Mom's eyes right after we did that. Because she was touching me, and you were touching me, and Dad wasn't. But Dad still felt something, because he's the one that was...
He was the first one that said, did anybody hear music?
Isn't that funny?
And that is the weirdest
That's the weirdest thing, and I was like, oh, Dad, it was in our hearts.
He was making a joke out of it. He's like, does anybody else hear music? And we're all like, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were trying to say. That came from our hearts together. There was nothing outside us. The wind was blowing, yeah, and there was chimes. That's it. The rest of it was all in our hearts. The drums, the wind, the whistles, the flutes. And they were saying all this kind of stuff that was our hearts beating together.
I was hearing woodwind instruments, clarinets.
Yeah, and tribal drums. Like I didn't just hear like tribal drums. I hear like Japanese Oriental pipes and drums. Like, and like I was trying to say to you earlier, like when I went in and I closed my eyes, I laid on the bed for just a minute because like I get so worldly. I hear like space sounds like in my head, so loud. I'm like, it goes away. I'm like, that's an intense thing to deal with all the time. And I calm it down, and I stop doing it for a while because it gets so intense that nobody takes me seriously, so I might as well just play Dan the Red Guy. And like, knowing that enough concentration, I can go right back to that place again. It's spooky in a way, but it's awesome. Like, I know that I have an ability to show anyone who spent enough time with me that they could do it too. But what's weird is, like, even you know that, you go off on your own and other people discourage you to do it. Not even on purpose. They don't say, don't listen to your dad. It's just the feeling of being around them takes it out of you. Believe me, the feeling of me being around my parents takes it out of me. The feeling of me being around me doesn't. It's the only thing that doesn't. The feeling of me being around you takes it out of me only because I feel like if I am too much of me, I'm pushing you. And I don't want to push you. So it's this weird part of me that pushes you and then apologizes, gets angry, then apologizes, and then gets really angry. And goddamn, if we don't do something, why do you even hang out with me? There's no point. Like, that's not me. That's the part of me that, like, lets myself be what Dan should be. Like, the dad that, like, what my dad was, where I should have been hearing him from a place that understood him. And because I'm from a place that thinks you can understand where I'm from, if I let go, I think there's a part of you that hears it from the place it's supposed to come from. But that's not always right either, because, of course, no matter who I am or what I am, this is the real world and you're your own person. And it's awesome that I'll never be able to predict a family member to the T, because I don't want to in my heart. Like, I made what I call psychic contract to God, that I don't want to hear the thoughts of my family, my close people. That would freak me out. But when we're in tune with each other, we can feel each other quite well. I do it with Dad on the porch when it's just me and Dad, when we don't have to say words. When we have to say words, it gets minced. Because Dad talks about negative things, and he goes, how much did that cost? Even if it's just me and him, and I'm just like, isn't that beautiful over there? He's like, yeah. You see those dive down and kill one earlier? Like, if it's something peaceful, he'll tell about something hunting it. If it's something loving, he'll talk about who got the world record for killing the most or something. Just the weirdest shit. And if it's nothing out of the ordinary, sometimes he'll sit and be calm, and you'll catch him on a day where he's in that tuned out. And that's the part of Dad I bring out of him. And I'm waking it up in him little by little by little by little. You know? Trying to. And the world's in my way because he's too busy watching people. And I keep saying, can you fucking turn it off? I even said that, like, when I was yelling at Mom and Dad, I felt so stupid. Because I was like, he's a grown man and he's watching fucking guns and Indians and cowboys. How old are you? What the fuck? Turn it off. I'm like, I know you think that you're not worried about dying, but I know what you're gonna go through when you die, so listen to me. Just turn the shit off. I'm like, put in front of you what you want in your life. And as goofy and gullible as it sounds, it'll happen. But the truth is, you want trauma in your life because you'd feel weird without drama because it's all you've had. If you can, every person in the world needs to hear this. If you could take out the crime dramas and the crime investigation, it'll go away. We're creating it so that we have problems to solve. We're problem makers so that we can be problem solvers. Police officers are the ones in school that went out looking for problems, and now they're making them so they can solve them. Cross the street and we'll cap you or put you in handcuffs or, speed too fast and we'll say, hey, but I've seen tons of cops use their Relco device to turn the light so they can go through because they want to go get a donut. And I'm being cliche, but maybe they're going for maybe they're even on a diet and they're eating vegan, but they're still in the badge. And once you put the badge on, you became a bad guy.
They're just speeding, they just want to get out of there, so they turn on their lights and they're like, screw it, turn the lights and there they go.
Yeah, and here's something that goes from the family to the whatever, and many things and many points can be hit in the same talk because they all need to be addressed. The cops are the good guys that are actually bad guys with badges. And it's not like I'm trying to put them down. Many of them have great intentions, but as soon as you become qualified by the government to follow policy and you have to enforce someone else's law, how many times have cops pulled someone over thinking, It's not a big deal that you smoke weed, but come on. It's right here in the Constitution. The government says you can't. You can't do this because we say no, even though I'm going to get done with work and meet my friends at the bar for a drink. As long as I only have 4, I'll be under the legal limit. But I know that I'm a cop who beats his wife and has the most, there's the domestic abuse in a police officer's family is higher than other peaceful jobs. Did you know that? Like, police officers are like the #1 rated domestic violence. Well, that sounds good. And ex-military are the second, number 2, the most domestic violence. Why is that? These are the heroes, are they? Yeah, they were heroes because they followed someone else's policy. And now when they're off on their own world, they don't know what the policy is anymore. They have to watch crime investigation shows. Brian's stuck on watching. I looked over just to see what he's looking at, and it was a bloody steering wheel. And like they were tracing it to show the pattern that the head blood splattered was on. They were showing and then he's like, and the handprints were here. The investigation went on for 3 days. And did you hear it? It was like crime scene investigation, homicides, double murders. I'm like, that only interests people who are interested in death and murder. Nuh-uh. I just want to know why they think that way. Why? You know why they think that way. Because they're morbid and they have a satanic idea in their head and they're twisted enough to want to see what it's like. So you, interested in watching people interested in doing it, is a second-rate morbidity. You know, like, in the same way, to get drama out of your life, you have to stop watching drama. But then be like, I don't cause drama, I just watch it on TV. But everything you watch on TV becomes you. When they didn't have TVs, their drama was their everyday life, and that got too boring for them. So they made other people's problems their ideas. And now other people's problems are everybody's problems. And nobody has their own life. We're trying to live as one for people who don't want us to live as one.
An example.
Fucking weird. An example?
An example. Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Yeah.
That whole show, and it's super popular there. Of course, it's Kardashians.
And everyone would have to agree that nobody really wants to be like that.
All it is gossip.
And who would say, I want to be 100% artificial. I want to have fake ass, fake lips, fake eyes, fake eyelashes, fake nails. I want 17 cars that I can't drive all at the same time so I can say, look at my stuff. I want to have pink, hot white, hot yellow Lamborghinis. I want to have frilly furs that are made out of real dead animals because I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. And I snap at everybody because I don't give a fuck. And that's supposed to be idolizable? Ha! What the fuck, people?
Oh, I'm gonna be half naked, almost completely naked, and twerk in front of a camera for 8-year-olds.
And what is it? Yeah, and let's go to the other side with men. With the bling chains and the rings and I'm the granddaddy master with this big ass car. Pimp daddy got more dank, and I'll shoot you.
All this, we shoot my motherfucker.
And that's not cool at all. And for anyone to be like, I don't care if it's cool, it's real. It's only real because you want it to be. Put your gun down and say, if you're hard enough to kill me, then kill me. And then what are you going to have? You're going to have no... If gangs didn't look for rivals or people to be against, there'd be no gang.
Yeah, like what kind of world is it where girls try to be ratchet and guys try to be hard, gangster? You know? Why?
It's our world.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be. If every movie we saw didn't have to have bad guys, like I was saying earlier on the porch, even like you were saying, Avengers, how would it be if it didn't have action battles and drama and saga and some love story and some kind of death and murder and maim alien infestation, yeah, like cross world borders, oh my god, galaxies.
Universal domination.
Video pause, continue watching. Yes, what do you mean? We had this on for 20 minutes. Are you still watching? Man, this is a meditation music. Now I gotta say, even though I'm recording right now, that's sort of weird that YouTube has meditation music that's 15 or 3 hours and 12 minutes long. Then 20 minutes into your meditation, it stops and says, are you still watching? No, I'm not watching. I'm fucking meditating. That's why I have 3-hour music on. Don't interrupt it to ask me if I'm watching you.
That's just so stupid.
That's the silliest world we would make sense out of that. I don't. I watch everyone else and I just scratch my head being like, wow. Like I was saying, when I was like a 6-year-old.
The car.
They're coming to the storage place. When I was 6, I could see my parents being stressed out watching the shows and watching the news, and that was making their lives up. And they were too busy doing that to care about what was really going on in the world. Because what was going on in the world is right there with their children. And now that they're older, they're still watching the TV and remembering their childhood stuff because they don't realize that the world's right here, not in front of the TV. Right here. Always right here. Turn the TV off. You can have the phone in your pocket, just don't put it in front of your face and make that the artificial world. Use it as your sidekick, not as your front kick. It's front kicking you in the face with its information so that you stay in formation. By watching that data boy, they just want you to do that. They want you to keep tuned in. We're all in this together. Stay linked up, synced up, Facebook trending, because
stay
we're all
tuned.
Yeah, and if we stay tuned into this channel, the drama, then we won't see that right here in front of you, if you turn it off, is you dealing with your own drama, finding out who you are. But then it gets so hard to deal with, you can turn the TV back on and watch someone else's problems. It's so weird. So weird. And when I say I love it, I really do. Because I've seen it from the other side of not being in a human body, not being able to do anything about it. That's the weirdest part of people who act like they've seen the other side. And like, you've seen the other side? Then why would you be in a human body trying to do bad? What's it going to cause if you hurt somebody? If you've been to the other side, you know that that doesn't mean jack shit, and you hate yourself for it. Every negative thing you've ever done that ever will be done by anyone that does it, you hate yourself for it. Because you were the bad energy and the good energy. And I am. Like, I not only feel that, I know I am it. And it's like, it doesn't go away. I just sometimes can ignore it if I let my mind get out of. If I tune into the world and pay attention to TV shows and I let the 5G system get into my brain, I've really awakened to the point where that shit doesn't mean anything to me. Like people say, if you wear these caps, it'll keep those 5G rays out of your brain. That's not even true. But if you believe it to be true, you'll think your brain is safe to that degree. Because apparently you think that your brain isn't safe otherwise. So it's safe to that degree with that hat on. Like, how stupid do you even believe that? The hat kept you safe, but you're not safe without the hat. So therefore, the hat only keeps you a certain degree of safe. Like, people don't realize they're convincing their brain cells of these things. Everything you do that someone else talks you into doing, lessening your true invincibility. True invincibility. I tell myself every day, no matter if I say it out loud to you, I've never said it out loud to you, because I don't want to sound corny. But every day I tell myself that I know I'm invincible. I know I'm invincible. And even if I say it and I'm like, I'm the bread dude, meditating today, try to get myself out of this fucking funk as Dan. I mean, I know I'm not Dan, but at the same time I'm saying this from such a Dan point that I feel like I'm being fake saying this. When I've been to such a spiritual point that I feel like I'm ever going to, like, even saying the word Dan feels fake to me. But there's sometimes where Dan is the only thing I feel like. And it doesn't mean I feel 100% fake. It's like I almost lost my spirit again. Like, wow. But once you've awakened, you can't fall off. You can't. It's impossible. Like, so, like, I've truly awakened. And there's people who are like, hey, I've seen it. I'm like Matt. And I'm only using Matt for an example because I love him so much. And when he sees this or hears this someday, he'll be like, yeah, I did do that. Like, he thinks he's right, doing whatever, being rebellious. And of course he is. But he'll realize that's not helping anything. And he's just being egotistical, trying out his own things and feeling out his own life. People could say I'm doing that, but I definitely am not. I'm spending all my time working a job I don't want to work, because if I don't, I'll end up working something else, starting over new and spending even more of my time to learning a new thing. Right now I own it.
Probably do worse for you anyway.
Yeah, and right now I know my thing, I own it, and I can make sure that I only put certain things out. Like I've actually been putting more multi-grain flatbreads out, so I know people can put like cheese and lettuce and eat them like sort of open face like I do. Like, so the things that I eat, I've been trying to put more things like that out, because I don't want people eating bread and buns and hot dogs, but I sell them. So it's sort of like I'm driving the stake into my own chest. It sucks, but what else can I do? It's not one of those things like, if you didn't do it, someone else will. Like, to some degree, sitting around doing nothing allows the war to happen. To sitting around doing nothing allows children to be abused, allows alcoholics to keep drinking and abusing themselves, allows drug addicts to die and commit suicide or homicide. Saying nothing does a great deal to the negative if you know the truth. Once you know the truth, you have to stand up for it. And how dare a person not say, guys, you know you're fucking up by doing this. Well, shut up. We don't care. Definitely, you're saying right now that you don't care. You obviously don't, right? Well, I care about my family, so that since you don't care, just go jump off the cliff, right? Because you don't care, right? Well, I'm not going to jump off a cliff. That's stupid to say. But what don't you care about? Let's get down to the bottom of it all. What don't you care about? I don't care about people telling me what to do, and damn it, the system can't run me. There we go. Now let's all agree on that and say nothing bad about the system, even when we get to that point. Then we have to go one step further and forgive them. Whoa.
I already did that.
Yeah, but then still hate that they're doing what they're doing. I hate that they're marketing billions of cows to die every day. Billions to die. Pigs, cows, chickens. Nothing. Life means nothing to people. But it does to an individual. Like to an individual, to a being, to a spirit, life means everything. To people, it means nothing. Because people is just a color of purple. That's the color of purple. Violence. Violet. That's people. I'll never be a person. I'll never play a persona other than what I have to be in a normal everyday thing. But even while I'm doing that, I'll say I'm Dan playing Dan, but really I'm God. I can't say that to everybody, because if I say that, they'll be offended, because they are too. And it sounds silly, but it doesn't at all to me, because I'm coming from a place where my heart's so open that I want them to just lay down next to me naked, not because I want to have sex with them, but I say, hey, if we all laid down naked next to each other, it could be to the point where we laughed it off, cried it out, and we're totally secure with ourselves. Like, I could die this moment, in front of the sun, in front of God, in front of the world. That's how I feel all the time. I've been there so many times. I've died so many times that I've seen everything just give away underneath me. Everything I cared about, everything I loved disappears in a moment. So don't ever let anything that matters to you go without a fight, but not a fight that's going to harm others, because you'll regret that too. So it gets so hard. Like, I want to fight for my loved ones without fighting physically. Well, then how are you going to do it? Fight the government, fight the system without doing it physically. But how are you going to do that? With words. But then if I talk too loud and abruptly, people go, hey, calm down. Then I'll just whisper. Peace. You know what I mean? It's like, where do you come from? You have to be the loud voice. You have to be the one on the porch. The loud voice on the porch. You're the big talker on the porch. And I was saying that earlier on the porch, saying like, the one kid who says, you know what, Paul, I'm going to grow up, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to change this countryside. And he says, yeah, sure you are, Junior. And at that point it was, I will, Dad, I'll show you. And he was, despite his dad, he went out and he did it, and his dad hated him for it, because he went out and did what his dad couldn't do. He proved his dad wrong, and damn it, I hate my son for proving me wrong. But I love him for doing it too. I just can't admit it until he comes up to me and says, Dad, I had to do it because I love you. And I had to show you that I loved you so much, I had to believe in myself too. And then he says, son, we're both men now. And that doesn't happen to many people. Ever. That went away a long time ago.
They never resolve it. They never talk about it.
Yeah, ever. Or they never know their dad, or they hate their dad, or they hate their stepdad for not being the dad, or for being a dad that they just never saw their dad, and the kid may have formulated the whole thing because the mom's resentment or the dad's resentment, and kids are innocent until the age of now.
Me and you did that in one bottle.
Anytime I was angry at you guys, it was more or less my job or Glenn, or your mom allowing Glenn to dictate her. And to what point, I don't know. Some of it was your mom too.
Not really. Mom kind of just got really depressed.
And it was the man is the household.
Let him do everything.
That church thing, the man is God, then the man, then the woman. You guys even said that to me when you came over. I'm like, is this what they preach to you at home? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, what? God, then the man, then the woman.
Glenn said that. Mom said that all the time. They said the kids were less than both. And the kids were the lowest. It's like, they should be the highest, if anything, because they're the new generation, the ones that should be not more important, but in a way,
Well,
pay attention to it.
look at the word itself, kid. Is if you take the kid and you say child, because we would say child would be children, in short, child. One child. That means chi. LD, chi in the wild, like wild energy. Nothing wrong with that. Perfect. And no matter how old we get, no matter how old, if you're 115, you're still you're children of God. Like, you are here to live and have experience, nothing but. And there's nothing wrong with that until you start making people do stuff or following laws that weren't yours, and all of us have done it the whole time. And if you say that to someone who's 90 or 80, boy, they don't want to be like, my whole life was a lie. No, you were here and you got to watch it. You were the witness. But once you become the person who realized they were the witness, they no longer are the witness. They're the creator. And that's what a lot of people are trying to talk about, law of attraction. But they're basically hearing somebody's concept of something that makes them feel free because they have money or some kind of, career brand or some trending sign that people can recognize their name by. And they're on the right path, but they're still a little off because they're monetizing themselves and they're making their ego stick out, not God. And if I ever make it big, it can't be Dan Alexander, but it would have to be. But I'd have to say Dan, parentheses, God Alexander, because that's what everyone is, and that's what everyone will always be to me. And if they, condemn me for talking like that, then so be it. They are too. Like, you can hate God for being it, but you are it. And the more you let people tell you you're not powerful, the more you believe and become less powerful. And the people that I say that to will go, yeah. And Brian will go, yeah. And not make any step toward cleaning up his diet, cleaning up his acting, cleaning up what he watches, moving around and stretching. And then if I say that to them, they get angry. And I'm like, you're acting like your life is a problem. I'll give you an example of how to cure every single one of them. Every single one of them. But you won't do any of them. Any. And the truth is, when you come from a place of my heart, like I'm not coming from Dan's heart. I'm coming from God. I'm coming from it. All the time. Even when I am in Dan mode, I can't go anywhere else. I'm 50-50 now. I'm like it. So like I could look at any people and say, look at yourself. Like, this is what you need to do, is like start at your family. First start at yourself. Get yourself straight, and then see how your family's going. And if you can't get yourself straight, get your family operated as a unit to work on itself as a unit. And boy, that will help each individual so well. If a family would jump in it together, boy, will help individual progress. It'll jump it up like fucking 20 times so fast. Like I said, we should have a place where families get together and they come in and sit in a waiting room for their turn to go in and get like a dinner or get some prize or anything. It could even be a good thing, it'd be a bad thing, it'd be good news, bad news. They could go walk in and say, every family's coming in because every family gets news. And it would just be a science project and nobody would know about it. And as you walk in, you're like, it's bad news. And they're like what? And then they sit there in this waiting room and there's a camera watching them in the waiting room and watching how they interact with each other. And then the next room, when they're supposed to get the news, all they're doing is they're watching the video of how they acted with each other. And I was like, this is just actually to teach you about you. To see how you are when you're not being watched, but you are being watched. So that you can see yourself truly as a family unit. And this is how you work on yourself, by having someone else close camera you. Not having someone surveillance you and not tell you what they know about you. But looking at you and analyzing you, coming from their heart and saying, this is what you could work on. And they get mad at you and go, but you watch violence. You like the boxing championships, right? You watch sex and nudity all the time and it makes you yearn to fuck little girls. Sorry, but that's true. If you think about sex all the time, you're going to see sexual things in everything you look at. Really will. I know because I was there. Not as Dan. Luckily enough, I had the privilege of getting pussy whenever I wanted it. And great. Because if not, I would have been one of my other lives that are manifesting right now all over the world, that I've been many of, that were rapists and molesters and horrible things to animals, to kids, to each other, to...
Well, I guess it's a good thing you weren't.
Yeah, but I've been. Like, that's the weirdest thing, is every moment, I know how morbid we've been, because I've been it. And I don't mean to say, like, conceptually I've pictured it, but it's the same way I still can when at the most, all I want to do is conceptually picture it. But the weirdest thing is, I don't feel that there's any activity, any man or woman or child or goat or animal or insect or molecule has performed that I haven't experienced. And it freaks me out to really get it into the point where if I'm trying to tell somebody the truth and I have to prove it, I feel like I'd either get overpowerful or abusive. So I'd rather just be like, I love you too much to even try to prove myself. You know?
Yeah.
Am I talking too much?
No, I said 100.
Oh.
It was at 100.
Already?
It's been charging super fast.
Is mine charging?
No, I just unplugged mine.
Oh, can you plug mine in?
Yeah. That's why I was checking, because it was like it's green.
What time is it right now? 10? Swipe down.
10:04.
Yeah, we'll have to head soon because I have to get up at midnight to go charge my shit.
You want to leave it like...
In like 20 minutes or so.
20 minutes? Yeah, I was thinking like
10:30. But that gives me no time to sleep at all. Like, but either way, it doesn't matter. I'm not really going to get to sleep, so. And I'm okay with that. Really am. I don't mean to make you feel bad about it, because it's actually sort of too late now. It's already 10. And we didn't get here at 7 like usual and pass out meditating and get some sleep and then wake up and I take you back now, even though we just napped. We didn't nap. We stayed up the whole time. And now I won't get to sleep. But that's just how I do things sometimes. Because my heart's so open. I'm not tired, but I feel like, oh, I should sleep, because if I don't, I'll be tired. Because our brains do that. Isn't that fucking weird too? Like, haven't you been so interested in what's being said or so into what's going on that, like, even last night I was into the movie, but I'd seen it before, and because the work week, I would spend so much time doing what I don't want to do. When I want to do what I want to do, I fall asleep. Because I'm awake doing the stuff I don't want to do. And a lot of people get into that point. But right now, my heart's so open, I can't even imagine my lips sealing. Because I have so much to share. Like, with you, because you're here, and I hope it doesn't bother you. Like, if you said, I just want silence and breathe, I would just... And in fact, in a few minutes, I want to stop recording and do that, because I think we addressed quite a few things.
Yeah, I think we have.
About how adults can overlook just a child being a child because they're too sucked into their job. How the government has unintentionally followed along with the people above them, their families, their parents, their ones who brought them up the wrong way.
Over again.
Yeah, and the wrong way. Just because they wear suits and ties and think of people as less than doesn't mean they are.
Of course. I mean, it makes sense that now we're doing we're bringing back stuff that was popular 50 years ago, like I said, no, not 50 years ago.
Just retro. Yeah,
retro stuff.
Because
we bringing it back.
We come around the circle.
Yeah.
Because the old ones will die and the young ones won't know what to do, so they'll bring back what we know, and it goes through a cycle of sevens. That's the secular cycle 7. Like, it's not going to happen this time. Like, I'm telling you about how we break the octave of the great-grandparents to the great-grandchildren. So many people alive don't even know what that's about, but have talked about it they've heard about it their whole lives. Like, and I can explain that to everybody. Just to be like, the whole cycle of 7s ends as soon as one great-grandparent stops telling the great-grandchild how they should live. And listens to the great-grandchild as he grows. And he comes with an open heart, guided by his great-grandparents. When that day happens, the child will be born again. That will be the Jesus of the new world. When the great-grandmother has such an open heart that will let the great-grandchild grow and be itself, but guide it the whole way. Passed down through the mother, the grandmother, the next child, the daughter, the granddaughter, and then the great-granddaughter, or great-grandson, or a son, same way up, you know what I mean? And that will happen. It used to happen all the time, until people got against each other. Once we get against each other, like I said, 100 people could stand elbow to elbow and stare at something and be like, wow, magical. And then someone finally said, it's getting boring now. It's not as magical anymore. And everyone's like, hey, man, it's still magical. You just ruined everybody's fun. Everyone, all of a sudden, there's murmur in the room. Everyone starts arguing. Hey, shut up. Hey, you bumped me. Hey, stop it. Hey, look at the thing again. I don't want to look at it anymore. I'm bored looking at it. Fuck you. Ah! And then they all break out into war. It's like the anthill that works together until someone steps on it and they all frantically stampede all over each other. All the government is the foot on the anthill, the one to stir it up every once in a while. If they don't keep people against each other, how powerful and scary would they be? Especially if they came with heart. It'd be very powerful.
It'd be very powerful.
Because we'd be like, we're not going to hurt you, but we're not going to listen to you. Come at us with guns and bombs, and we still won't do what you say. We will shut down your economy. Go ahead and bomb us. Now you'll have to go work. That's how big and how heart-filled we are. Our whole world will blow up if you don't listen to us. We don't care about you running us anymore. That's what we need. We need people to stand behind somebody like that. And I'll be the guy who walks out between the war and says, somebody from this side and somebody from that side, stand out here and take it out on me.
Yeah,
because they're just holding a grudge about their ancestors.
Don't kill me, just give me up.
Yeah, or kill me. If it would stop it for the rest of the entire world.
You have to promise it would stop.
No.
Promise really can.
If I at least believed it in my heart at that moment, I'd do it. But then, of course, somebody watching couldn't hold that promise. Even if a billion, gagillion people were there, at that moment in time, they held that promise because they were in the moment, they loved it, they meant it. The next day would happen and somebody would argue over their parking spot. Because a convenience is inconvenient, like you said. And I think Grandma Lisa's a great person, and she is. She really is. Especially my mom saw her at the funeral home, and she was so nice. Wow, she's so nice. She sends me good messages on Facebook. And then you said they got this new bathtub, and because the bathtub, it's got a
new bathroom.
Bathroom. It's all strict. Got to make sure it's neat. Don't inconvenience my convenience because we used to poop in the fucking woods. But I'm too mature and sophisticated to even acknowledge 150 years ago my ancestors. But wait a minute. If I say that, I sound like I'm podunk. No, wait a minute. If I was rich, no, all of us 200 years ago, no matter how rich they are, 200, even 300 years ago, all of us were mud-slopping fuckers. That's it. 200, 300 years ago. We were all ancestral, banging our own kids, all that. Sorry, if you don't like it, don't read too much into the true history or you'll be fucking scared. But it's true. No big deal. It's okay.
It was normal.
Yeah, and then, like we forsaked ourselves by not understanding that.
Being self-conscious, what if you start looking weird?
Yeah.
And judging other people and how they look too. Which we did then as well.
It's wild. And I'm not encouraging to go do it because now we have a world that's so vast we don't need to be in our family. But at one point we weren't. We stayed amongst our own. And what was our own? But our family on the county side. And everybody we married was somebody else's cousin. My cousin married her cousin, her cousin's cousin. And we know that. We all talk like that. And if you talk about enough of our ancestors far enough back, our cousin and our cousin were our cousin. How does that make any sense? Oh, they were either brother or sister or two cousins who got married eventually. Like, that's not that gross. Or like, how did a family stay royal and thoroughbred? By breeding themselves within their own families. And now,
I'll say that I wouldn't do it, and I mean, like, I wouldn't condone doing it. Go do it, I wouldn't do that. But if somebody did, I wouldn't judge it. Or I'd be like, oh, okay.
People still do it, and I'm not judging them for it. The thing is, like, it's where we go about our demeanor. When people become conscious enough, they just won't do that. And if they were to do that, their relatives or ancestors or whoever would be of age and would make the discretion and say, yeah, I love you and I want to. And it just would be fine. But we weren't at the option to grow that way. So just doing it now is just sort of gross.
Yeah.
If it happened and something distorted your brain, I'm nobody's judge, but I can help you if you heal yourself. Wake everybody up. I'm here to do that for everybody. Even the podunks. I could wake up the podunks, the Indians, the Aborigines, the Pygmies, the Australians. Nothing wrong with any accent, any nationality, any race, any background. None of it's wrong. But it's all not including the other. And I'm coming from a place where I've been them all. And I don't think anyone's better than the other. I don't think I'm better than anyone else. I don't think that people are better than bugs. but I wouldn't harm a person or a bug evenly. Doesn't mean I'm a sissy, just means that evenly. That's to the greatest degree. A little tiny bug. Oh, look at that thing. Wow. And then if somebody's not their ego, even my dad, I say, wow, nature. It's like watching a bird fly in the sky to me. Watching a fat guy with scabby knees because he's been sitting for 5 months and doesn't get up, and he has growth on his neck and scabs and things everywhere because he doesn't take care of himself. I still think, wow, that's really just airborne fungus growing on a body that wasn't cleaned enough, growing in his dirt pores, like a tree would in the forest, in the swamp. He's just a walking, talking swamp, and he doesn't realize that that's why. Why do you have so many corns and growths? Because you don't clean yourself right. And if you did, you'd start believing in yourself, and you just wouldn't have them anymore. And you give up. People give up. Big, hefty people with warts and whatever, they see themselves as big, hefty people with warts and whatever, because they can't see themselves otherwise. Isn't that weird? Because they see their ancestors and worry to be like their ancestors and grow up to be worse. Like my Aunt Bev, not to put her down, her mom had some scabs or those discolorations above her eye and a couple on her eye, and she has hundreds of them on her neck. Have you ever seen how many moles?
I saw a lady who had something like that when we were walking by doing something yesterday.
And it's just a skin disease. And it's their brain worrying. And sometimes they're gifted with something to just be the first person of that kind of their family to have that gift and to get through it in this lifetime. That's their goal. That's their mission. And it's like so hard to even know that, because you get brought up in a world that's calling you a freak. Imagine that one. And that too. Imagine being the abused child who dies at 6 from being raped and assaulted. Not trying to be gross. That too. Imagine being the guy who goes to be 75 years old, dies a lovely death in his sleep after winning the Pulitzer Prize and everyone loving him. That too. What? Oh yeah. I'm gonna stop recording. I keep forgetting. Time. We have to stay on time.
But we have made a lot of good points. Like we